What's up, guys? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker, Jeff Marconette Jr. Now, I'm very pumped up about tonight. Tonight is going to be a fantastic show, and I just want to hear from you guys. So if you're out there right now watching this, let me know where you're from. Let me know where you're watching from, and we would definitely be excited to give you a shout out. So please, if you don't mind, also share this episode out. Invite people that this might help, because that's what we're here for, to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce Angela. Hi, Angela. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. So, if you would like to go ahead and tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you do, and more importantly, why you do what you do, I'll let you take it away. And I'm going to be inviting some people on my phone. So, I'm paying attention, just looking down.
Okay, then.
All right.
No, it's
Thanks.
great. It's good to be here. So thank you for inviting me. So yeah, my name is Angela Roth, and I live in Devon in the UK. So the south coast of Devon. I don't come from here. I come from Merseyside, but you may hear the Liverpool accent come out if you listen very carefully. But what I do now is I work with a lot of new coaches, people who are passionate about what they do, but who've been misserved by the coaching world and by people who try to trick them into paying all sorts of ridiculous figures to help them supposedly to sell their services, when in actual fact all they do is take their money and leave them high and dry. So my job, my role is to get these people out into the world and to help them change the lives that they're called to change, because they've all got a really good message to share. So that's what I'm passionate about. I do it because I've been in that situation myself. I used to work in the weight loss world, the weight loss industry, having lost a lot of weight myself, and thinking, well, therefore, that must be where I needed to help people. But I also was tricked into parting with money to help build my business. And actually, what happened was it stopped me from getting the clients I needed to get, because I began to get overwhelmed by things that I was told I didn't have, rather than by focusing on all the energy and drive that I do have. So I literally was completely didn't know what to do, but I turned around and decided I was going to change the lives of other coaches. That's why I do it, because I want to stop people getting into that trap of
That
spending all that money for no reason.
Yes, I agree that is completely awesome, and that is something that is needed in the world. But my background is I was in a car accident. I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital. I was told I wouldn't walk again, but guess what? Here I am.
Wow.
Now, my thing is, I know that each and every person is going to have to grow through something in their life. Now, I say grow through something because I don't believe we just go through things. I believe that we have to grow through things in order to get over them, or in order to deal with them. So, has there been anything in your life that you have faced that has made you grow through that situation?
Yeah, definitely. I think the first thing really was the death of one of my sisters through suicide,
Oh,
and that she struggled with her weight just like I did, and that was such a shock to the whole family, because, well, you don't expect it. Although we knew that she was unhappy, but you didn't expect that. and you didn't expect it to leave two teenage daughters. And so if anybody's listening out there and you've been through that situation, then for sure reach out to me, because I would definitely like to support you through that. Because what happened for me was I began to think that to solve my problem, it was all to do with weight, and if I sorted out my weight problem, then I wouldn't suffer. Then I wouldn't be in that situation myself. But actually, what happened is, although I did lose the weight and I thought I'd solved the problem, just a few years ago, a few short years ago, now I was helping people lose weight, thinking that I was, on top of the world, that I was now living at my ideal weight. And then one of our sons, a lovely young man who is such a gentle soul, was trapped into a narcissistic relationship by a woman and her mother. And he was tricked into that relationship by being told how wonderful he was, and we were told how wonderful he was, and all of these kind of things that they do. And then we didn't see him. They got married, and that was it. We didn't see him anymore. And for 2 years, we hardly had any contact.
Wow.
And then he had a little baby, and we discovered that he had been left on his own. And it was heartbreaking. It was just heartbreaking to find him in the middle of nowhere in this little cottage somewhere with no transport. He's diabetic. It was snowy, it was winter, and the baby had been taken away, and he was told he wouldn't see her again if he didn't stop wanting to see his family. And he was just in an awful state. So walking through that with him and supporting him, I began to realize that I hadn't solved my weight problem. I just went back to doing exactly what I'd always done, which was eating chocolate and cake and all those
Yeah.
kind of things, putting all the weight back on, and actually at the same time trying to help people lose weight. And thankfully, we've walked through those things with him. He's now got joint custody of his little girl, and he sees her, half the time, and we have a wonderful relationship with him now. He felt so totally. He felt like he'd betrayed us because he'd allowed them to do what they did, but we didn't feel like that at all. We could see what had happened, and now there's just that relationship back again. And it was another time where I thought I'd lost him. I thought I'd lost my lovely, lovely lad who, as I say, the kindest person in the world, and I just thought we were never going to see him again. Um, and like I love the name of your program, Every Second Counts, because you're absolutely right. I now look back at my sister's life, and I remember all the fun we had. For some time I was so angry with her. I just couldn't understand what she'd done, and then I worked through that, and I found a way to forgive her, and understand the pain that she was in. And it just made me realize every second's precious.
Yeah.
And unless we take hold of it and, give everything we can to it, then, you know, well, it's just such a waste. And that's why now I really, I'm absolutely passionate about, working with people I work with so that they can get their message out, because I've got people who are coaches with narcissistic abuse, they're coaches with health, with weight, with physical injury, with marital problems, with menopause, all these things that I wouldn't be able to help people with. But I can help them help people because I can get them out there and I can actually introduce them to the world.
That is well. Are you in touch with your son now?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we live. In fact, we've moved to Devon so that we can support him with his little girl. So we see them every week, and she comes and stays with us. So
That is good. And I'm very sorry to hear about your sister. Suicide is something that has not affected me personally, but I can only imagine what it does to people's families around the world. And I am very sorry that you have had to go through that.
thank you.
So, is how exactly did you deal with the suicide of your sister? How exactly did you get over that anger?
I think in the months and the year that passed after she died, to start with, yes, there was anger, and there was anger that she'd allowed my niece to find her and my mum, who was next door, to go have to go and find her. And that was I was more angry about that, I think, because I knew the pain that she had gone through. We talked, I knew she struggled. So in a way, my compassion was there for her, but the anger was at the fact that she'd left, these two girls, these two lovely girls, and my mum, who'd moved nearer to support her. Um, I'd left her, and so I think, and this might sound really weird, but one of the things that helped me most was, sadly, we lost one of my brothers. I come from a big family. My eldest brother died of a brain tumor 3 years later, and he was my hero. He was my rock. I could tell him anything. Since I was a little girl, I would just like follow him around, and he was sort of like a second father to the family. And when he became really ill, I was convinced he was going to get better. I was utterly convinced he wouldn't die, but he did. And suddenly there was this something happened where I saw my sister had been so desperately alone inside of herself. She couldn't find that way, and so she had chosen that her life was needed to be over. And I sort of suddenly saw that, I don't know what it was. I was filled with compassion for her because my brother did not want to die. He wasn't ready to die. He had so much left to give to the world. It was such a cruel way to go. And so it was a real dichotomy of this sister who had chosen this way out, and my brother who desperately wanted to stay. And then what happened was I began to realize that if I lived my life regretting the loss and being sad for the loss, then everything that I'd had from them that had made my life so rich would be for nothing. And so I had to stop building my life like around the hole that they left, and forgive. So I forgave my sister. I just chose, I have to forgive you because you didn't know what you did. And then with my brother, it was almost like having to forgive the illness. And just, it's like what I decided to do was to have like a treasure chest in my heart, and to put in that treasure chest all the joy, all the love, all the kindness, all the fun, all the happy memories in that treasure chest, so that when I'm in a place of missing them, which I do, I can go to that treasure chest and open it, and I can take out the memories, and I can take out the strength, and I know how proud they would be of what I'm doing now. And that gives me strength, just because I know what they would feel like now if they could see what I was doing.
That's good. So, d- so you think that forgiveness is important? I mean, do you think it's more important for you? All right. Do you think it is more important that you forgive people to you or to them?
I think that's where the problem comes. So often with people I work with, where they're struggling and where they're held and they can't move forward, I'll say to them, you know what? It's forgiving the past, it's forgiving the pain that we felt is so important to let us move on. And the struggle that they'll have is that people think that forgiveness means that you're saying that what happened was okay. And you're never very badly bullied at school. It took me a lot of that. But when I realized that forgiving them didn't mean that it just means that they have no power over me. And that's what forgiveness is all about. It's letting go of the power of the past. Once you can let go of it and lay that down, you're setting yourself free. And that's what forgiveness is. Because, ultimately what they did, whoever it was, they did it for whatever reason they did. They did it because of the pain they had. They did it because of what they had suffered. We don't know what they suffered. So in a sense, letting go of that, and just it's like cutting a chain that drags you down. So it's never worth holding on to the bitterness and the heartache, because it just doesn't, it just destroys you actually.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
doesn't serve you, does it?
no, not at
Yeah.
all.
I completely understand that. So I have to say hi to Roland Manning, hi to Ben Bruce Chris Jr., who is watching us from Nigeria. He
Wow.
actually says, "Good evening, everyone." And then we have Maria Papalia Meyer, who watches the show, but she doesn't watch it till the day after, and she is from Boston, I believe. I could be wrong with that. I'm sorry, Maria. And then we also have Jessie in the house. She is from Kenya. And then we have Rhoda in the house, who is also, well, she's from Liberia. And then we have Brittany in the house, who is from Colorado. So I would like
Hello.
to say hi, everyone. Please, if you have ever faced anything in your life or you've had to forgive anyone in your life, tell us in the comment. Tell us all about it because I'm very interested in hearing and helping other people out. So, it, are the when you lost touch with your son and grandson or granddaughter, I'm not sure which, but wha- how did that affect you? How did you get past that?
It was really agonizing. We have four children and, a son and a daughter, and Jacob is our third. And, watching his little brother as well, missing him daily, and that feeling of, well, oh, when one of your children gets married, you think, okay, hi, Ben Bruce, hi, you kind of think, well, okay, so they've got married, you've got to let them go, you've got to let them build their own relationships, and that's what we chose to do. We said, these our young people, our children have to build their own way, they have to build their relationships. So we would always seek to let them do that. But what was really odd is that he was always a very expressive child who would tell you, what was going on, and he was very affectionate. He never would have missed your birthday or giving you a hug or just saying hi. And suddenly, there was just hardly any replies to a text, or you just have to wait for days and days and days. You just didn't know what was going on, and the pain that you had inside of you was really confusing because you're trying to let your children go. There's no way that you want to hold on to them and tie them down, but at the same time, you just knew he wasn't safe. And then the worries came back because then we began to realize the we'd seen things that were wrong before the two got married, and other people we discovered had seen things, but they had felt they couldn't say because they of gossip and so on. So it was just really, it was just awful. I mean, anybody, if your children, if you recognize this kind of thing that's going on in your children's lives, then come out, call out for help. Anybody, if your children, if you recognize this kind of thing that's going.
Wow, something weird just happened there. I don't know what, but no biggie. We'll figure it out one of these days. So, do either of these two things still affect you in any way, or did you grow past these situations?
Well, I think we we have grown past in that we now have a wonderful relationship with our son, and probably a deeper relationship. And our granddaughter is an absolute joy. She absolutely, and to be honest, it used to amuse me because when I basically went to live half the time with him and half the time at home with the rest of the family to support him, and Evelyn, bless her, used to call me mum because to her, because Daddy called me mum, therefore she called me mum. Oh, we heard two voices now.
Jeez. All right. I figured it out now.
Oh,
I opened something on Facebook to read a comment on the video, and then it started playing in the background, and I couldn't get it to mute. So I figured it out now. I'm
You go,
sorry
oh,
for interrupting.
that's all right. No, I mean, so I think that the time that it affects me most is that we still haven't finished with court hearings. We've got another one coming up in October, in August, I think it is, which should be the final one for some time. That's when it affects me, because when I see him going through pain and heartache, when I see him having to listen to things that we all know aren't true, that affects me because it affects him. But I'm so thankful for the joy that we have, and the fact that we can talk about these things. And actually, to be honest, Jeff, all of our experiences are, that they're there for a reason. And the number of people that I've had, for example, people who've started talking to me and they'll be like, they'll say, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I have no idea why I'm talking about this. And I think, well, I know why you're telling me, because I've been there. And for some reason, there's something inside of you that resonates. And we just end up talking. And, you can be that person that listens, empathizes, and that helps them take the next step forward.
Man, I'm sorry that you've had to deal with these things, but I'm sure it has made you a stronger person, and you have showed your strength through these situations. So I have to say it, or ask, do you have any suggestions that for somebody else that say their sister or their they have a loved one in their family that committed suicide? Terrible thing, and I wish it on nobody. But do you have any suggestions for those people?
The main thing that I would say is that unless you've been in that situation and experienced the darkness that overtakes you, and although I would never want anybody to go there, it just happened very, very briefly to me. And I suddenly understood what my sister had been through, and it made me realize that she had no control over what she did. She had no control. So the thing that we should never do is carry the blame, which is very difficult. It's very easy to say, difficult to do, but I know I've been there, and blaming ourselves will never, ever, ever help, and it won't bring the person back. And the most important thing to do is to look at the times of joy that there were. There will always be memories of the bad days, because all of us, it doesn't, we see the pain that goes on in the lives of those who take their own lives. But there's also joy and there's also love. And let them go. Release them, because holding on to them and holding on to the pain, it just doesn't help. It just drags you down. But let there be that hole inside of you, which there will always be, and recognize and acknowledge it. Don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty. Don't squash the memory of that person. Love them. Love them past the pain, and love them. And I just hold my sister safely, in my arms, because she she's safe now, and she can't feel that pain anymore. And for me, that's a comfort. But I think it's just that there is a hole there, and we'll never be able to close that hole over. But what we learn to do is live around it, and let it touch us, and let it touch other people. Reach out to other people, because you can touch their pain, and help them walk through it and come to the other side and find joy in life again.
Yeah, that's great advice for other people. Now, I notice, well, which I've kind of mentioned it in this episode, but I noticed that forgiveness is huge with you. And what about the people that can't forgive people? They're just holding on to something that person did or something that person said. How can they deal with that?
It's really hard, and it's almost like you have to take yourself to a place and say, what? What is the lack of forgiveness doing? Ask yourself, what is it doing? Who is it hurting? Is it hurting the person who caused the pain, or is it hurting you? And the answer to that is always that it's hurting you. The thing is, it's recognizing that by forgiving them, as I said before, it's not about saying that what they did was okay. It will never be about saying that. Those people who did whatever they did, they will have to answer for that. And their lives will not be good lives. Their lives won't be happy lives. They won't be peaceful lives, because deep down they will know the pain they've caused. But ultimately, don't spend time with them. Don't keep staying with that person, because the thing is, often you'll find that the person who's carrying the pain will stay near the person who's caused the pain. Don't stay there, because it won't do you any good. Walk away, turn around and walk away, and leave them to sort themselves out, because you won't change them, but you can change what's going on in your heart, and you can change the future. You can stop letting the past affect your future. You can choose to take control of your future, and by letting go, I mean, I choose to let go, even if, by the way, you choose to let go by dropping them off the side of a mountain. You cut the chains and let them fall, and just drop them away, and feel the lightness. And you have to do it. That's the other thing with forgiveness. It doesn't just You can't just do it once. You have to keep doing it. You do it once, you feel a bit better, but then the pain comes back, so you do it again. The pain comes back, you do it again. You just keep doing it until eventually it goes off into the distance, and finally you can feel a lightness inside of you. Your life moves forward, and actually you begin to pity those people. You pity the people that caused the pain, because you realize that, what kind of a life have they got, really?
Yeah, that's great. Now, I have to ask Angela, if there's somebody out there that just resonates with you and wants to tell you something, or wants to bounce some ideas off you, how can they reach out to you?
So you'll find me on Facebook just with my name, Angela Roth. You'll also find me with my business, which is called Succeed from the Start. And if you find Succeed from the Start on LinkedIn or on Facebook, you'll find me, because my passion is helping people succeed from the start, whether it's in getting rid of their own pain or whether it's starting their business. And we also have a Facebook group, which is a free community called Success Builders. And that's for anybody who wants to make a change in their life. And we're running lots of events actually coming up. And these events are free events, and they're all self-help events. They're all to do with different struggles in life that you'll be able to come to. So we'll be announcing all the links in those groups and on my Facebook page and everything. So, and we would love anybody to come to those, because you'll meet some wonderful people who just want to help
And
and
what's
support
that
people.
group called again? I'm sorry.
So if they go for Success Builders,
Success Builders.
and
All
it
right.
just says growing together, working together, growing stronger.
All right, cool. I'll have to check that group out. I'm a member of a lot of groups. So, I don't know if I'll have a lot of time, but I'll have to check that group out.
Yeah, we'd love to have you in there, and there are so many groups, aren't there, on Facebook? But we just what we want to do is a heart-centered group who just wants to gift to the world help and support. So
That's a great thing that we can do in this world, is helping other people that are going through the same or different things than we have.
yeah,
So it's nice that we can offer advice to other people.
definitely just reach out and touch them.
Yeah. So Angela, I have to say thank you so much for coming on here tonight. And if everybody out there in the comments or in Facebook land or YouTube or LinkedIn would please tell me your biggest takeaway in the comments, Let us know what you thought and tell Angela thank you for tonight. But everybody out there, including you, Angela, need to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds are going to run out on your one life. Hey, I'll see you guys back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, take it easy. Have a great week. Thank you again, Angela.
Thank you.